Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. And I'm super excited because I am back in the classroom with you tomorrow. So I'm very excited. Make it a great day today so we can get back into our swing of things tomorrow. Today we are doing 5.11. So please make sure you have your paper and your pencil ready to go. Get my other computer all set here. All right. And share my screen. All right. Remember, when you are finished with any of your assignments today, you need to be working on your iReady lessons for the week. So if you've missed any week this trimester, it's too late. So you have until technically Friday this week, but Thursday is the last day of school before break. So I want you to get it done as soon as possible so you can go and enjoy your Christmas break. Okay, so here we are, classwork 5.11. So on this, we see that we have, and get the bigger one. We have line T has a slope of 2/3 and passes through the origin. Draw a line and 3 different points to represent the slope. So we already know that our slope, it gives us a slope of m equals 2/3. And it says it passes through the origin, which is 0, 0. And so that lets us know that B is 0. Okay, so we can go ahead and plot that. Oh my goodness. There. Let's see, can I get it right on? No. Oh, I'm still on erase. There it goes. All right. So there is our B. It is at the origin of 0, 0. So for our slope of 2/3, it means we rise 2 and then run 3. All right. So we're going to go up 2 and run 3. 1, 2, 3. That gives us our point. We'll do it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that gives us 3 points is what it asked for. I want to remind you that we can also go backwards. So 2/3 is equal to -2 over -3, because negative over negative is a positive. So when we do that, we can actually go backwards. Okay, so then we're going to go down 2, backwards 3. So you can go that way as well. Okay. Draw our line to connect, with of course arrows at the end. Okay. Brings us to number 2. Now we are given a line and we are to write an equation of that line. Okay, so we need to do our M and our B. So we can look at it right now and we already know B is at the origin. And so we know B is 0. Okay, so for our slope, here's the other point that it gives us. Our slope, I see it goes down 2 and runs 2. So that means my slope, the rise is negative, it's a downhill slope, and it runs 2, which is the same as -1. So with my slope-intercept equation, y equals mx plus b, let's plug in our values. So we have y equals -1x plus 0. And so what that would look like is y equals -x. All right, you don't have to put that 1 or the 0. Moving right along. Number 3, what is the product in exponent form? Okay, so it says exponent form. It does not say to solve. Okay, when you're multiplying exponents with the same base, both of these have a base of 2. That means we're going to add the exponents. Okay, so 2 to the 3rd times 2 to the 4th equals 2 to the 3 plus 4, which is 2 to the 7th. All right, and what that's ultimately saying, we've had this before, This right here, and we'll do that. 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 to the fourth. There's 4 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you were to count those up, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where we get 2 to the 7th. Right. And that brings us to our homework. It says solve for y and then determine 2 ordered pairs for the function. Okay, so when we're solving for y, we're simply putting it into our slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. My stylus is so glitchy today. It's my new little one. It's not my fun purple one. Where did it go? So I'm trying to break it in and get used to it because this one, it's on its way out, makes me very sad. So we'll see if we can get this one worked in. All right, so first we are going to solve for y. Okay, so for number 1, we see that's what they've done. I need a smaller, it might be too small, let's see. All right, yeah, that's all right. Okay, so I'm just gonna go off of it right here. So we have 3x plus 4y equals -8. We need to get y by itself. Yes, you are copying this down on your paper. So we're going to add the opposite on each side. Gives us 4y equals -x plus -8. Divide both sides by 4. And that gives us a slope intercept of y equals -3/4 x plus -2. So here's what we need to do is you're simply picking an input, and that is our x, and you are going to then solve to see what is y. Okay, so for number 1, and always do this, you're going to start with b, or your y-intercept. So put in 0 for x, it's the easiest, and then you're solving for y. Okay, so you'll make your little xy table and then plug in your input of x, and then you're going to solve for your output of y. Okay, so now let me erase that, all these scribbles. All right, so I'm going to start with this. So we have y equals -3/4 x plus -2. For my xy table, we're going to plug in inputs and then get an output. So first one we already talked about, we said we're going to put in a 0. So then we just plug in 0 for x. Okay, so now we have y equal, well, let's see here, I'm going to put that lower. So I always put it next to where I'm working. Y equals -3/4 times 0, that's our input value, plus -2, which of course, when we simplify that, this x's out to 0, so we have y equals -2. Okay, so now we're going to try an input or an x value of 4. So y equals, and look at this, if you remember us doing this before, this is the denominator of the slope, so it will cancel out. So y equals -3/4 times 4 plus -2. There, okay, so this is actually a 4/1, and this lets us cross simplify. 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 4 one time. So that gives us -3 plus -2, which is going to give us -5. Okay. All right, so those are our 2 values, and then those would be, the 2 points would be 0, -2. I need to push harder at this stylus. And 4, -5. Okay, so those are our 2 points. Oh, and here's the little hint it gives you. Use 4 or multiple of 4 so you can obtain or get a whole number. All right, So now we're going to have some practice, and we're going to do that with 5 more problems to practice. Make it a little bigger here. Okay, so our first step is we're solving for y, and then we're coming up with 2 different points. Okay, so number 2, we have x plus 2y equals -6. So to get y by itself, we're going to add the opposite of x on each side. So that is a -x, leaves us with 2y equals -x plus -6. Divide both sides by 2. Gives us y equals negative, of course, that's a -1x. So it's going to be -1/2 x plus -3. That's a plus. There we go. Okay, so there is our equation. And I'm actually going to scoot that up so I've got some room for my XY table. And put that way over here so I've got room to work. Okay, first value I want to do for my input or my X, I want to use 0. So that is going to be our y-intercept. And I can look at it and I know my y-intercept is -3 because that's what I have in my equation for -3. But I have to show my work. So I'm going to say y equals -1/2 x times 0 plus -3. The stylus is driving me crazy. Equals 0 plus -3, which then of course is -3 for y. Okay. Now my second one is, let's do some value of 2, which I'm just going to use 2. That's going to give us a whole number. So y equals, oh, here's my 2. I'm going to use 2 for x, -1/2 times 2 plus -3. Okay, so these simplify. 2 and 2 gives me -1 plus -3, which of course is -4. All right, so those are my xy's, and so you would write that as 0, -3, and 2, -4. That's for number 2. Erase all of this. So remember, I am going fast. So what you need to do is just pause and rewind, make sure that you're getting everything. And of course, I'm going fast because this is just a review. We've reviewed this so many times. So hopefully you can actually do this on your own and then go back and check your answers. Okay? All right. Number 3. And if it's difficult, then don't feel bad. Here you go. You have another chance to practice. You will have a test on this on Wednesday. Okay? All right, number 3. Okay, so first we need to put it into slope-intercept form. 2x plus 5y equals -10. Okay. Add -2x to both sides. Gives us 5y equals -2x plus a -10. Divide everything by 5. Y equals -2/5 x plus -2. Okay, so there is our slope-intercept form. Now we need to plug in input x values and figure out our y. Okay, so x, y, we'll use 0 for x first. Plug it into our equation. Y equals -2/5 x. Oops, I know my value I want for x. I'm using 0 plus -2. Oh, I can't do it. I have to switch stylus. Okay, so that's going to equal 0 plus -2, which of course is -2. And we know that's right because that is our y-intercept. Okay. Next one, I'm going to use an input value of 5 because that's my denominator of my slope, and that is going to give me a whole number. Okay. -2/5 times 5 plus -2. Of course, that's a 5/1. Cross simplify gives me -2 plus -2, which is -4. So my two coordinates are 0, -2, and 5, -4. Okay. So that's my answer, and there's my answer for number 3. Oops. Okay. All right, on to number 4. Let me erase all of this. Okay, almost there. All right. All right, so we are on number 4. 4 is 5x plus 4y equals -16. Move the 5x to the other side by adding the opposite. Leaves us with 4y equals -5x plus -16. Divide each thing by 4. Y equals a fly buzzing me. -5/4 x plus a -4. Okay, so that is my slope-intercept form. Now we're going to plug in x values for our input to get an output. First one I'm going to use is 0. And so that means y is going to be my y-intercept. Means y equals -4. For my second input, I'm going to use, let's do an 8. Okay, and I'm switching it up so you know that the denominator is 4. So I just need to use a multiple of 4. So I want to show you what would happen if I used 8. Okay. So we have y equals -5/4 times 8 plus -4. Of course, this is 8/1. So now instead of them both simplifying to a 1, this one goes to a 2. Okay, so that's going to give us -10 plus -4, which is -14. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, is that the same thing as if we had used 4? No, let me show you. Okay, so if I used 4 as my input, it would be -5/4 times 4 plus -4. Okay, so this 4/1 gives me -5 plus -4, which is -9. Okay, so now what that means is I have figured out 3 different points on the same line, okay? So that's what happens when you use different input values, which it should, because it just shows you that that line is moving, all right? Okay, so that one was number 4. Oops, zoomed out too far. Let's erase it all. Okay, number 5. (3x) plus 2y equals -8. Add -3x to both sides. So glitchy. There we go. All right. 2y equals -3x plus -8. Divide everything by 2 to get y by itself. Y equals -3 halves x plus -4. All right, so that is our slope-intercept. Put a box around it. And now we are going to figure out 2 points that live on that line. First input we will use is 0. -3 halves, our x is 0 plus -4 equals -4. Since anything times 0 is 0. Okay, next value I'm going to use is a 2. Y equals -3 halves times 2 plus -4 equals, these cancel out. Of course, that's over a 1. -3 plus -4, which is -7. So my 2 points on this line, of course, are infinite points, but we have 0, -4, and 2, -7. All right. All right, erase those. All right, last one of these problems. Black, there we go. All right, number 6. Number 6 is 4x plus 3y equals -15. Move the 4x to the other side by adding the opposite. Gives us 3y equals -4x plus -15. Divide each thing by 3. Okay, there is our slope-intercept form. Now let's figure out our 2 points. First one we're going to use is a 0 for our input. Gives us y equals -4/3 times 0 plus -5, which of course equals -5. Next input I'm going to use is 3. I got the 3 because that is the denominator of my slope right here, times 3 plus -5. Of course, that's a 3 over 1. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, and that gives me -4 plus -5, which equals -9. So my 2 points on this line are 0, -5, and 3, -9. Okay. Ooh. Okay, see, there's a fly that keeps buzzing me. It's driving me crazy. All right. Number 7, last one. And this is for the World Cup. And the World Cup, I believe, is it soccer? I think so. All right, World Cup. The global competition for the World Cup is broken up into 6 continental zones. The number of teams in the Scottish team zone is 17 less than twice the number of teams in the Puerto Rican team zone. There is a total of 88 teams in both zones. How many teams are in each zone? Okay, so it says let Y equal the number of teams in the Scottish zone. So that means that X is going to equal the number of teams in the Puerto Rico. All right, teams. Okay, so this is a system of equations and we need to figure out our 2 equations. Okay, so we know that the Scottish team, which is Y, is 17 less than twice the number of teams in the Puerto Rican zone. Okay, we also know that there are 88 teams total, so that would be X plus Y equals 88. All right, I need to scooch this over. Gave myself too much room. Okay, so here's our 2 equations. In a system of equations, the first thing you need to do is to solve both equations for Y or put them into slope-intercept form, because remember, we're coming up with 2 lines and the solution is the point that they intersect. Okay, so the first one's all set. We need to get the second one ready, which we're going to add a -x to both sides, which is Y equals -x plus 88. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we have to set them equal to each other. All right, so let's see if I can make this a little bigger. And that's Puerto. There we go. Okay, so we have 2x minus 17 equals -x plus 88. Okay, and so I just took this to there, and then I took this one to here. Okay, set them equal to each other, and now we're going to solve for x. All right, so erase my scribble x's here. So I'm going to add the opposite here. So add x to both sides. That gives me 3x minus 17 equals 88. Add the opposite. Gives me 3x equals 8 plus 7 is 15. Carry my 1, 8, 9, 10, 105. Divide both sides by 3. And I know that 105 is divisible by 3 because if I were to add those integers, 1 plus 0 plus 5, I'd get 6. 6 is divisible by 3, so that means 105 is divisible by 3. Okay, so let's see here. 3 goes into 10 3 times. That's 9 with a remainder of 1. So that leaves me 15 divided by 3 is 5. So X, there are 35 Puerto Rican teams. So now we have to plug that into one of our original equations to figure out how many Scottish teams are there. So let's go into our first equation. Let's see here. Or actually, I'm going to use the second one over here, right? Because that is simply 88 minus 35 is what that means. So my Scottish teams is negative X, negative 35 plus 88. So that means my Scottish teams, 8 minus 5 is 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. So 53 Scottish teams. All right. So that is going to be the solution then is 35. 53 is where those two lines intersect. All right. So that's it for 511. Very cool. There's one more lesson tomorrow, 512. Oops, stop share. What happened here? I clicked the wrong thing. Unfold. There we are. Stop share. There, and leave the meeting and leave meeting. All right, there we go. All right, so you have one more lesson in chapter 5, which is a mid-year review. I will be in class tomorrow, and there's a chance you'll still do the lesson on video so I can walk around and monitor and make sure you're doing it correctly. We still have no idea if we will be in person or distance when we return in January. So we'll see. Yeah, I really don't know. So I want to make sure that you are all being diligent and having integrity doing your math. So anyway, we'll see what we do for tomorrow. Okay, hang in there today. Make it a great day, and it will be an even better day tomorrow. I'll be with you. All right. As you go through your day, remember who you are, remember what you stand for, and lead by example. See you tomorrow.